And I sort of think of it more like we're tuning ourselves to be the receptors of information. So when you're channeling, you're just sort of fine tuning your receptors so that you can reach either beyond time and space, or beyond the human senses, or beyond what is certainly considered familiar, because we can channel all kinds of things. Chant when you're communicating with, even with your animals, that's a channeled, I would say, communication in some form or fashion. So I liken channeling more broadly than just, there's a spirit or an entity and they move through you. Of course, that is part of it for a lot of people, and certainly for me. But when you're listening to your higher self, or the voice inside your head, what is that? I would liken that to channeling. You're opening yourself to access to information that's beyond what would be considered normal sensory information, normal human sensory information. And so I think it's something that we all do. We just don't necessarily label it. And when it comes to other beings or entities or other forms of other communicators out there, sometimes those of us that have an easier time with that, it's just sort of part of our observing and measuring devices are somehow aligned in a particular way. So it's less of a gift and more of a grace in that respect. And I feel like it's something that we all do in myriad ways. So then I was thinking about, gosh, is it interesting how I started channeling? Maybe. So I found it really interesting because I certainly it wasn't something I was actively in pursuit of. I certainly had conversations, just as a sort of layman metaphysician, with my higher self and my guides. And I talked to God as a youngster, and then expanded my knowledge of what God is, and certainly had and still have a very active relationship with God, Goddess, all that is, and lots of other unseens. But I was never necessarily interested in being a channel, if you will. And it really, as I opened to myself, as I discovered more of myself as a healing artist, as my certain abilities to work with and read energy, move energy, and things like that started to unfold, my ability to, or my access to understanding what lies beyond, and my channeling skills started to really kick in. And it was something I was very, very uncomfortable with. Part of it, I think, was because I was and am I'm part of the Lazarus community, and Jack, who channels Lazarus, is a unique channel, to say the least. And so it was very uncomfortable because, of course, in those early days with myself, I was always like measuring, like, well, I'm not that, so but we're all different and unique. And as I evolved, my channeling evolved, and those that I channel, I'm growing and changing, they're growing and changing. It's always, shifting. And I'm somewhat unique. There aren't a lot of us that channel more than one being. I have a couple of very active. I have a group that I channel and a unique being that I channel. Both have apparently been with me for a lot of lifetimes. Um, and there's a couple of other, it depends on the circumstances, sort of who comes in, and I have a vetting team, and it's sort of complex out there, but it all seems to work out, and it funnels through in the right ways. But a lot of people often channel, when they're channeling beings, they're offering, it's often singular, and or a group, that speak as one voice. But mine is, I seem to have an active freeway system up here. So I get a lot of activity. And some of it's just information that passes through, and there are connecting points with some of my other some of the entities or the group that I channel. Sometimes they're part of the group. But it's fascinating. I find it to be a fascinating exploration of life beyond what we can see, hear, taste, touch, etc. And I consider I do healing work with animals, and I consider that to be channeling. I am a conduit for healing energy. That's channeling. I'm a conduit for information that moves through me into another person. That I consider that to be channeling. The information, the energy that I do a lot of healing, planetary, planetary healing, and I have certain focuses, and the information that I get and the way I work with the earth. I feel that that's channeled communication. Sometimes I hear things that from the earth, and it's like said to me in sort of words or energy that I translate to words, but and the earth isn't speaking to me with words, but that's how it comes into my being, because that's how I receive it. And that's certainly channeling too. Sometimes when people are outside in their garden, and they talk to, and they have some kind of dialogue that isn't spoken with their trees or their plants, that's channeling. I think it's a very broad and very receptive area, if we just can be still enough to recognize it as such. And some people don't necessarily have the patience to, or the temperament to allow that to be part of their everyday, so it comes in and comes out, and that's the cool thing. That's sort of what makes the world go round. Is that we sort of have this access, and then we don't, and then we do, and then we don't. But it's always there. It's always at our disposal, and it's a matter of what choices we make and how we do it, and what we came into the lifetime to experience and explore and all that stuff. And so I sort of have the mantra that everybody can channel. It's just a matter of and everybody does. It's not everybody can, actually. It's everybody does. It's just how we do it, and how we tune in, and what we want to do with that information. And and it might be very private for some, that it's for them and them alone, and that's wonderful. And for others, it's something that's very important to put out into the world. And so and I think more and more and more people are, as we are awakening into a new, we're sort of elevating the consciousness of the planet, and human beings are elevating, we're evolving as consciousnesses, and the species, spiritual human beings are evolving. And with that, many people are coming in already fine-tuned to hear the whispers and, you know, understand more than what is right in front of our faces, and appreciate the magnificent complexity of what it means to be physical, and how it's such a small piece of who we are. And, you know, when you can, and I don't even know if we can grok that, you know, in our physical bodies, like how small a piece of the great puzzle of ourselves we experience here. Um, you know, because we're here and there's a reason why we're physical. We've made choices to be physical beings. And so we allow for those constraints. Um, and one of the beautiful things as we expand into becoming more, we have more and more access to what lies beyond, and we have more and more access to all the other stuff that's happening, you know, everywhere else in the universe and beyond. So anyway, so that's sort of my personal view on channeling. And it's I feel that it is a I'm honored to be a participant. I'm honored to communicate with uh these magnificent radiant beings that I communicate with, both on this planet and others, and sort of out there. And it's a treat for me to explore that as part of my work and as part of my great work. And it's lovely to share it with the people that it's right for me to share it with, and that are interested in what I do and how I do it. And um yeah, so that's basically it. And I'm happy to answer any questions anybody has, if they have any. um and if not, I suppose I can just go in, and I think it's Arcant that's probably going to want to talk to us. It's a definitely very male energy, has never been physical, um just a big old love bug. And so I think that's probably who's going to chit chat. But if anybody has anything, or they want to share about like your channeling experiences or anything like that, I'm down for whatever.
What's his name? Who are you going to channel, you think?
Oh, I think Arcant is who's gonna, he's very
Arc,
lively. So
Arcant?
yeah,
Arcant?
Arcanth.
Thank you. You're talking with a deaf woman here, I heard. I can't. Who? So,
Do you imagine your
you can.
the entity you're channeling is called I can't.
Right? That's what I
That
thought.
would be that would be a bummer. Spend the whole
That's
time
hilarious.
going, yes, you can.
Exactly. You can. You can. Anybody have any questions for Elizabeth, or shall we let her go? Get started with it and bring in our camp. All right, Elizabeth, you go, woman. I'm going to put you back on.
All right, so it's good. It sometimes takes a little bit of time, so just you know, we'll see what happens. And if it's not Arcant, you know, you'll know. Oh, I did want to say one thing. I'm sorry that I forgot to mention. So there's a whole, I'm sure most of you know this, but there's a whole bunch of different ways of channeling. Some of it's relay channeling, which is a lot of the stuff that I was talking about. And then this is trance channeling, and just FYI. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. Hello. All right. We are Arcane. It is a pleasure, and a joy to be with you today. Now, generally speaking, we often will communicate either one-on-one or with a particular topic in mind when we dialogue with a group such as yours. And certainly, as we sort of tap in and get a sense of the just the beautifully peaceful and luscious energy that we're sensing in this particular grouping, there's a sense of tranquility that is spread amongst you. And so with this particular sensation, we want to go deeper into that with you a little bit and sort of bridge the inner worlds of tranquility with the outer worlds of tranquility, which perhaps are harder to come by at this particular time. And also in discussing that particular energetic connecting point, also to look at when we speak of being present in the present moment, in your present time, in your present place, recognizing the present is that's what I have. There is no time and space, just the present. How we communicate that understanding with linear time and space, and also how we really can harness the energy of the future. And they do correlate to each other, this tranquility internally at the very core of who you are, that knowing, yes, it is all right. Yes, I am all right. It is all right. All right. Yes. But certainly the knowing deep in all of your beings, if you pull away all of the noise of physicality, certainly so, but all of the noise of your day-to-day, the challenges, the beautiful expressions, etc., what you find in all of you, dare we would say in all of humanity, in that place within, deep within your consciousness that condenses to create physical form, is that knowing I am all right. It is safe. I am safe. And yes, this world that I am a creator of, that I am a participant in, is safe. That knowing is the springboard to everything you create in your reality. Yes, even the creation of conflict, even the creation of destruction, disruption, etc., stems from a seed of the knowing of who you are beyond this expression, beyond time and space. And yes, in this moment, in this time, this space, this moment, all you have, this moment, certainly eternal, but this moment moving to the next moment, to the next moment, to the next moment. It's hard to conceive of no time, no space when you are wed and webbed in a reality of time and space. So to be able to recognize that the present moment also has what you consider past and what you consider future in it, that allows you to anchor, yes, to futures that you are creating. And dare we say, anchor to futures that you already have created, because it is non-linear. So to go in and select, and then from that selection, move beyond that which you have already established foundationally into unknown futures. And to do that with the energy of such, opening to the energy, allowing that energy to move you from where you are to anchored futures of perhaps known seeds planted, even if they are not form, they could be known seeds of energy of that which you want to create, or known seeds that you have created, certainly as an individual or as a collective. And then from that plateau, if you will, in the energetic spectrum, to move even beyond that into that which is unknown and allow that energy to cascade down into the futures that have been seeded, planted, understood, thrown, etc., already they're rippling back to your present moment, but leaping into this unknown, allowing that to cascade into the present, changes the present, and also can change the resonant energy of your past. All of that moving around, creating beautiful chaos, and certainly sometimes not so beautiful chaos in the reality, in the physical expression, and all of that whirling around this center that knows, that knowing, I am all right. I am safe. My world is safe. Deeper than that, I am at peace. The tranquility we spoke of, the thread weaving through. And at that, below that, I am loved. And I am love. I am an expression of love. Yes, certainly more complex in all of the machinations, yes, but I am love. I am love. I am at peace, tranquility. I am safe. Now, from that place, from that root of love to peace, love, tranquility, peace, safety, moving up through the energy of your form, of your construct of being human, allowing that to move in to create your reality, to open to futures that you have seeded, to make shifts and changes, and moving beyond that, allowing the love, the tranquility and peace, the safety to create more than you can conceive of at this time. From that thread, finding that place and opening to what you call, in whatever way, the divine, whatever way, God, yes, Goddess, yes, the divine, all that is, those energies, spark of all. Allowing that to anchor to all divine love, and letting that drop back in to your seed, your center of consciousness in your physical reality, the physical expression of all of you. And integrating that spark of divine light in you. Allowing that flame to continually burn. Emanating that love, that joy, that hope. Allowing that to ripple out and into the future and beyond the future that you can see. Letting that then gently wave back to your now. Changing in the next instant who you can be. How your world can express itself, and how your world can change with that resonance as its standing wave, that standing wave being you, that wave of radiance. And truly, that can change any circumstance, at any time. So we offer that to you as a way when you are experiencing, certainly when you're experiencing turmoil, when you're experiencing pain, when you're experiencing grief and doubt, when you're experiencing the destruction of that which is within your personal world or the world that you see around you, to allow yourself to find that seed, that spark, that flame, that resonance, that frequency within yourself. And allow that to be the catalyst. Allow that to be the torch that lights your way in the darkness, to find the pieces that you may need. And additionally, in times of celebration and joy and magic and miracles and just when you're filled with, wow, what this world can give me and what I have given it and what I'm creating and I never want to leave. Use that as your light, as your anchor, as your guidepost to move to the next level, to change something else, to expand your curiosity. So always carrying that torch, that flame, that seed, that bounty of love, that bounty of God, Goddess, all that is the divine in you. That can and will and does change your world. And it already has, even though it may seem as though there is so much destruction. Yes, there is. There's a lot to change. But there's also so much creation, so much light. And you are the torchbearers of that. So just for a moment, before we gently leave you, to sense that within yourselves, to allow that light as you are surrounded in this beautiful light of the divine, to allow that in, perhaps through your crown, through your heart, perhaps even your solar plexus, and allow that light, soft white, perhaps shimmering golden light or silver or color of your chakra, or a kaleidoscope, a rainbow of color moving through you, being touched and touching the divine. Expanding, reigniting your flame, reminding yourself of that flame, of that divine in you. Of that light that you are in this world. And we will step away. It has been a treat to engage with you for this short period of time. But as we said, there is no time. So until we meet again. All right.
Thank you for that, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Great. I'll remove the spotlight now. If anybody
Oh,
wants
thank
to.
I
Well,
appreciate that.
poor Elizabeth got hijacked because I forgot to record earlier and then went, oh shit. She's like, what? So thank you for that too, Elizabeth. Well, wow. A bubble of light and love for sure. You called me bubbly. Huh. How beautiful. What a loving light. Thank you so much. That was just how could you ever get enough of that? That's just so, it's just so beautiful. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Oh, you're so welcome. Our camp is a lot of fun.
Thank you. If anybody else would like to comment or question, raise your hand or unmute yourself and both. Go for it, Janice.
Yes, Elizabeth, thank you so much. What a gift and what a treat. Thank you for doing that. During the session, it was like my posture changed, my energy changed. I feel wonderful. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for participating.
Loved it.
I'll hop in and just say thank you very much. The very, very Lazarus-esque with a lot of the energy, and I do the same sort of type of thing with channeling. So I work with it daily, and just sensing the energy around you was beautiful, just beautiful. So thank you.
Oh, I'd love to hear your channeling sometime too.
Absolutely. I've never put a name. I never have. But when I do my work, it's just there. They are there.
Yeah.
And they never let me down. It just comes in, and it comes in the way it should. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Thank you, Leanne.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. I could really sense the energy there. I do have a question though. I'm just curious. Is there anything you do to prepare yourself to, like, what do you do to get out of the way? Like, yeah, that's pretty much it.
That was really what took the practice for me, was getting out of the way. And it evolved. So when how I started was so that I could start to get out of the way was I would write it. And so, like, for example, if I had a client that wanted, oh, I've got some stomach issue. So they would tell me, then I would go off and channel, and it would all be written down. It was very time consuming, but I would write it all down so that I didn't feel like I've got to give them an answer, so I could get my need to do it right out of the way. So that's how I would write it. And then I would go back to them and go, here's what I got in session. And so it sort of evolved from there, because what I was doing, unbeknownst to myself, was building not only trust with myself as a clear conduit, but also building trust with the information. Because I started, with people that I trusted and that it was safe for me to like make mistakes and all that stuff. And it just sort of evolved from there. And what I started to do was, initially I would try and pull myself back and let the energy move through me. And that was fine. But what really accelerated my my channeling, the freedom in it is probably a better way to say it, was integrating. So what I do, it's hard to explain how it happens, but I just sort of, I protect the space, and I open up. I imagine sort of, usually it's my third eye, but sometimes it's my crown, and sometimes my heart chakra opens, and I integrate with my higher self and Arcanth, for example. So I integrate with them. And so I'm not separating myself. And that, interestingly enough, gets me out of the way. Like, I have no idea what we just talked about. I have absolutely no clue. But I'm sort of, but it's not like I'm asleep, if that makes sense. Like, it's like you're in that, when you're in a dream and you're like and you wake up from the dream and you're like, oh, yeah, I did. Yeah, I remember that. Oh, and I can't forget it, because as soon as you move away from it, like the more you go on with your day, you forget what happened in your dream. For me, that's sort of what channeling's like. That kind of trance channeling is like. Like, when I was in it, I heard what I was saying, but I have absolutely no idea what I said. So I don't know what we talked about. I have no idea if Arcanth was his enthusiastic self or his chill self or whatever. But in it, it's like a hyper awareness for me. Like, some people, I think, completely, that do trance channeling, I think they don't remember anything. And I don't, as soon as I come out. But in it, it's a hyper aware. And I think it's because I integrate, as opposed to pulling myself back and let them move through. I just sort of integrate. And a channeling mentor of mine taught me that. And that seemed to really work for me. So I would get out of my head and get out of my way. And so I have little rituals, but that's the way I go in. And that can be a fun way to explore it with your higher self too, or any other guides.
That's a great answer. Thank you. I'll have to explore that.
Thanks for asking
Yeah,
that
check
question.
it
That
out.
was awesome.
I
Janet?
have a question. Yes, I have a question, Elizabeth. Do you mentor other channelers?
I have, and I certainly would. I don't think a lot of people ask that. I think because, not unlike what Leanne said about it, just sort of, it's very organic. It just sort of happens. I think a lot of people, what I have helped other channels with, is being comfortable with what they're doing. Because for me, I came from a very straight-laced background in my own being and my upbringing. And so, for me, I was a little embarrassed. Not embarrassed, like, I think channeling's amazing, but for me, I was embarrassed that I was doing it. So, and so I had to overcome some of my own bullshit, pardon my language, but, so I think that, those kinds of things I think can be very helpful. Having somebody that, you know, has gone through certain things as a channel and experience, like, oh, when you're trying to force something, how do you get yourself out of the way? Like, and then having those pieces of information, then people figure it out for themselves. It's like having the map and then going, oh, right, but this way works better for me.
And giving people that safe space so that they can channel and have somebody they feel comfortable with. I bet
That's
you'd be
really
really good at that too.
Yeah, I would say that was a really important thing for me, was to have people have the safe space to test things and
Yeah.
see if I could, like, if what I was hearing that somebody was saying, if that was true, because that person knew the person, and am I hearing that information correctly? And if I wasn't hearing it correctly, so yeah, so that's a great point, Dana, having people that you feel safe with.
Yeah.
That's for sure the way to open it up. And I didn't do it. I had a very tight circle that I did it with for years for myself. And some of that was my own issues, but it was also because it was, I was experimenting.
Yeah. Thank you.
Great question, Janice. Thank you. Well, does anybody else want to say anything, comment, or question? And we'll wrap it up here pretty soon. Thank you, Elizabeth, and thank you, Arcantha. Right?
Arcan.
Right, and I want to invite everybody back for next month, wherein Janice will be presenting, and she is going to talk about her relationship with creating oils and special magic she has around that. So I'm excited for that one too. And thank each and every one of you. Thank you. It's so good to see all of you, and thank you for spending an hour with us tonight. And you guys are so beautiful. I just want to kiss you all. And Elizabeth, 3 cheers for Elizabeth coming in on the last minute and going, and then forgetting to record. This isn't my job usually. I get to watch lately. So thank you all for bearing with me on all of that. And it's lovely to see you. I hope you join us back here again. And we're going to be putting this up on YouTube along with all of the other videos that we do, assuming Elizabeth gives us her heads up, since I screwed up at the beginning. And we'll go from there. But we just got our last newsletter out. And so please, if you have any questions about any of our wonderful members, reach out to them, check out the website, and come play with us. We love having you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. It was
you.
a pleasure to see you all.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye, Lynn. Bye, Rob. Bye, Kay. Bye, Trisha. Bye. 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 Yay. Thank you, everybody. Yay. Mwah. Hi, Jonas.
Good job.
Thank you, Kay. Yay. Thank you, Kay. Slide into that day, too.
Forget to turn off the recording.
Pardon?
Are we still recording?
Oh, shit. I forgot to turn that off. I better edit that out.